With myself today is Emily and Nord. I'll introduce them in a minute, but just for the faces, there's Nord and there's Emily. And we'll go through how to really work with SugarCRM reports and understand all about reporting inside Sugar, from rows and columns to matrix and summation reports. Down the bottom, you should see a Q&A section. Nord and Emily will both be manning that Q&A section. So any questions and answers, please ask away, and they'll try and help and try and answer them as we go. At the end, we'll also have about 10 minutes just to go through any questions that you may have answered, so we can just approach them for the complete audience. Okay, so we're going to share my screen and we'll start the session. So any questions, please just ask in the Q&A. Okay. So working with Sugar reports. Okay. So I'll host some panelists today. My name is Joe Bushnell. I've been working with Sugar since about 2004, 2005. So about 19 years now, going from helping with a host of different industries. And we use Sugar in-house, so that's always a good start, and we report on everything. So we'll be going through the common scenarios on reporting, and my position is really sales and solutions. So my reports that I use with Inside Sugar are all about the opportunities, metrics, when calls, targets, KPIs, etc., are happening with our clients. Okay. And I have Nord. Go ahead, Nord.
Hi, I'm Nord. I'm a customer success executive here at Enable. I mainly use reports to find out lost activities, when a customer was last contacted. So then we can have weekly reviews if necessary, or QBRs, see where a customer is currently going, and then obviously expand that out, everything to get the best out of Sugar.
Hello, I'm Emily. I'm a marketing executive and I'm fairly new to Sugar. I've been with Enable for about 2-3 months now, but I mainly use Sugar for target lists that we sync with our marketing campaigns. So we use GoCampaign and it syncs with Sugar to get our target lists, and also to see where leads have come from is really helpful for marketing teams as well. So we can see if they've come from the website or Sugar or Monday. And yeah, that's basically my roundup for marketing.
Perfect. Thank you. So a little bit about Enable, because some of you may not know who we are. So enable.services, established in 1994, so we've been going on a while now. We have been a Sugar partner since January 1st, 2005, so just coming up to our 19th year now. Like I said, Ipswich, UK, Suffolk. There's about 47 of us in the company, and we do everything from our Ipswich office. We do have Sugar support services and implementation services, developers all in-house, and our CSATs across that time is 4.7. So we have CSATs in our Sugar. We'll also push out. This year, we were given the award from SugarCRM as Best Customer Growth Performance globally along the 270 different partners. So I hope that we come across as a genuine family-based company who actually care about customers and want to actually see them succeed with SugarCRM. Okay, so enough about us, and let's get on to the reports. So we're going to go straight into reports. I'm not going to kill you by PowerPoint. We're going to go live. So hopefully everything, touch wood, goes well, and we don't have too many issues. Okay, so inside SugarCRM, when we look at SugarCRM, there's 4 types of standard reports. So we have 4 types of standard reports inside Sugar, and they are rows and columns. What's a big Excel sheet at the end of the day? Like Emily said, these are based on target lists. People creating target lists for maybe external or Sugar market or external marketing campaigns. Also, maybe mailers, where you're using a third party to actually send out physical letters to customers, or anything really where you want to take it out, maybe and manipulate them in Excel if you have the right privileges, because obviously Sugar has very good security suite. So if you can't see an export button, it's probably because you haven't got it set up on your roles or your admins, people that have taken them off. Okay. The next kind of report we have is a summation report. A summation report is a chart and the group totals on the bottom. So it's a very, so you can have a very pretty chart, vibrant chart, and then have the group totals underneath of what you're actually looking at. And this could be used, like I said, I use it all the time for sales, opportunity pipelines, close one, opportunity by product closed, etc. So we can really pick and choose on what we're actually going to be doing on that. Next one is a matrix report. And I'm going a little bit fast. I'm going to slow down a little bit, so I do apologize. A matrix report, what is a chart and then a big pivot table underneath. So if you imagine your pivot table being 1 or 2 columns by 1, that's how it kind of views. And it's very columns and rows orientated with figures and numbers. And our last one of the 4 is a summation with details report. Summation with details is again, a bit like your summation report, where you have the chart at the top, and then you have your group details underneath. So your group details is the actual records themselves within inside Sugar, showing underneath the chart, grouped by maybe assigned user or different types of users or industries or priorities of your cases, etc. So you can really pick and choose any of these charts and these types of reports. When you create a report, and we'll go through this and I'll show you this, but you can create a rows and columns report and duplicate it and convert it to a summation report, or a rows and columns and convert and duplicate it and create it as a matrix report. So it's always a good start to make sure you've got the data with maybe one of the rows and columns or summation report, and then duplicate it into a summation with details or a matrix report, so you can see that you've got information there. Because if the information doesn't exist, you can't report on it. Also, when we're doing reporting, it's easier to report on drop downs, integer, multi-selects, rather than text areas or text fields. You can report on the text areas and text fields, but it's just not as easy. So if you're configuring or creating as an admin users or field, sorry, it's always easy to, like I said, create them as drop-down fields, and it's easier to get the user adoption that way. Reporting and dashboards, what we're going to go through today, is the best way of driving adoption. Okay. Right. So first report we're coming to is a rows and columns report. We're going to see the same kind of questions frequently. So you'll see that in this case, we've got which Sugar module to start with, define your filters and conditions, and which fields do you want to be displayed. They are the 3 questions when we go for a rows and columns report. Very simple. Which module? If you're doing leads and you're doing a target list, you may want to start with leads module. That's what we're talking about. If you're doing existing customers, you may want to start from the contacts module, because they will be converted into a contact. So depending on where you actually start inside Sugar is sometimes vital. However, because Sugar is a relationship CRM, it means you can get from one module to another, and we can define conditions and filters. And I'll show you that very shortly. Okay, so the filters and conditions are really important. Like I said, we can do and or operators. So we could say it has to be a lead source of XYZ, self-generated trade show, for instance, and it has to have the email address as not empty, and the invalid and opted out is selected as no to be a target list. Obviously, if you wanted to, you could put or statements around it, saying it could be self-generated or trade show or word of mouth, and then another group saying it has to also be email address not empty, etc., etc. So let's do this in real time. So let's demonstrate this in real time, and let's open up Sugar. So, okay, let's close that down. So we're going to go into SugarCRM. And the first place where we come into SugarCRM is our dashboards. We are going to go through dashboards, not quite yet. So we're going to come back to dashboards. But dashboards, as you can see here, and very visual ways of seeing data. That's why I say that reports are probably the best way of generating user adoption and obviously promoting user adoption. Okay, so if we go to the top left up here, you'll see it says open. If we click it open, it brings up our menu. And on the left-hand side, you can see we have reports. I'm using Sugar 13. For those of you who are not, it'll be across the top bar, and you'll see it across the top bar. And again, you'll see reports. If you can't see it across the top, there may be 3 dots right over here, kind of area over here, where it'll say reports. Okay. If you're having struggle with upgrading or anything, please get into contact with my colleagues and we'd be happy to talk about that. So we can see reports here. If we click on the reports module, what we're actually seeing in the reports module is a list of all the reports. So as soon as we create a report, and if we could see it in the reports list view, Sugar have roughly around about 60 or 70 that come out of the box. However, the beauty about Sugar is actually creating your own reports. Okay, so when we come into the reports module, we see all the reports in the system. We can see the users who have actually assigned to these reports and the teams. If a report is not inside your team, you won't be able to see it because you don't have the right privileges to see that report. So a report is a management report. You may want to create a management team and assign a report to that team. You can also see accessed on. So we can see the last time that report was run, and we can actually understand if a report is being used, or actually if it's worth archiving reports off to or removing reports. However, top right here, we'll see a create button. This is the same on every single report, so we're going to do this quite frequently across the next 4 different types of report we're going to create. So we press create. The first place we come to is what type of report. In this case today, we're going to be looking at the rows and columns report for the first one. So top left is our rows and columns report. So you can see it says create a tabular report that contains values of selected displays for records matching the specific criteria. So target lists, etc. Any report that you want to take the data out to Excel, rows and reports is there for you. It's a right module to have, and right report to have, sorry. So if we click on rows and columns, the first place you get to is that first question that I asked. What module are we starting with? Where are we starting? If it's leads and it's a target list report for leads, we're going to start in leads. If it's contacts, we're going to do it in contacts. Okay. So in our case, for this, we're going to create a target list report. Okay. So we're going to start with leads. So we look down our lists, we look for leads. Click on leads. Next place you'll see on our wizard across the top is saying where we are. We've just selected the module. We're now defining our filters. What are our conditions of this report? You can see we've got our and our or operator here, and I can change this if I wanted to. In this case, I'm just going to leave it as an and. On the left-hand side, this is where Sugar is a relationship database. So we have relationships between modules, and you can see the relationships from leads, the account, the assigned user, emails, data privacy, and everything else what's related to leads. So this is where I said, even if you start in the wrong position on the modules, you can normally get around that and actually find the actual data you need to find by looking through the relationships. However, we're on the leads, so you can see underneath it says available fields for leads, and underneath here it's displaying all of the available fields for leads. If a field does not appear in here in the admin section, it's probably because you haven't got reports available to be used for reports, and there's a tick box in your admin section to tick against that field, okay, if it's not in your list. However, in this case, we're going to create a target list based on self-generated leads. So lead source self-generated, target list based on lead source trade shows and word of mouth. So down here on the leads, we're going to go lead source. If I just type in lead source, it's changing the fields that relate below. I could have just scrolled down in its alphabetical order and gone this way. It's just easier to type sometimes. So I go lead source. You can now see that we have the lead source module and it's popped up, and we can see we have different options. is cold call in that case, not one of, is one of, is empty, is not empty. So if you wanted to see a piece of build a report where you have no data in an empty field, you could do this and go where lead source is empty, and it's going to show me all of the leads that don't actually have a lead source. So I could then go and clean it up. But in my case, my report, I want to say is one of, and then I want to say is self-generated. So again, we're going to go to self-generated. There. We're going to hold the control button down on my keyboard, and we're going to go trade shows, and we're going to go also word of mouth. Word of mouth, if I can see it, it's there. Okay, so we've got the three selections. This is our defining our conditions, our filters. We have this little button over here called runtime. The easiest way of actually explaining what runtime means is that we can change filters, conditions of reports on the run, on the fly. So we could create this report and then change conditions without actually editing the report. I'll tick this and I'll explain what I mean by that a little bit later. Okay, so we now have our conditions, and we're doing an AND operator, like I said. If we had multiples, we could change it and add filter groups, what would give us more groups. However, if we go next, we've got our display fields. What do we want to see? What do we want to see? So in our case, we want to see the leads. So again, available fields for leads. We're going to say name, and you can see everything what says name has come up. So we're going to say the name of the lead, the company name, but also we want to see maybe the assigned user. So you can see leads, and this is where relationships come in. Leads, assigned user. Click on the assigned user. Now available fields for assigned user, and we can go username. So now I'm going to see leads name, the company name, and then my colleagues, the internal people who are actually looking after that account. So if we go next, we could preview this and make sure we've got some data. And we click on preview, we can see we've got data coming through. We can see leads, the company, and then the username, who's looking after it. We just close that preview. We haven't actually saved this report as yet, so if I cancelled now, it would lose that report. However, we're just going to go back to the filters. You can see that I can just go back to the filters here. I'm going to create a new filter, another exclusion. So we're going to say, because it's a target list, I want to exclude the people who have opted out or embedded emails. So again, leads, go down to email address, changes available fields for email address. I'm going to go email address is not empty. So I don't want to see any leads that don't have an email address, because otherwise my target list that I'm creating is going to straight away be in the wrong numbers. And I want to say also where the email address invalid and opted out equals no. So now I'm going to see all my leads where ones what have email address, one who have not opted out or have invalid emails. Again, I could have put and or all operators if I was a group around. But if I go next and next again, I can then give it a name. So I can go target list. Down the bottom here, we can see we have the assigned user. So if I wanted to create a report and assign it to somebody else, I could change this name here, and it's going to then allow me to put different users. So if I wanted to give it to Sarah, I could type it, start signing Sarah, and it's going to bring up Sarah Smith. If it's a management team or anything, or a particular team, maybe your geography, maybe UK, France, Germany, US, you can change the actual teams and create team privileges. And again, with management reports, etc. If we save and run, what we're going to see is our criteria, our results. And we see our results underneath, and we can see all of the actual data come through. On the top here, what we can actually see is because we chose the runtime, it means that I have this kind of ability to change the filters on the fly. So I could go, actually, all I want to do is take everyone out and apply. I just want to see the self-generated. I actually want to see everyone, all filters. So you can see that my lists are going up or down based on my filters. That's where runtime comes into it. So that runtime box where we ticked on the conditions and filters, that's where you're going to see it. What you can also do in here is you can also go up to report schedules. And I'm going to show you report schedules quickly. So report schedules are, if I wanted to be sent this target list, maybe it's a management. This one works on all reports. So I can set up a schedule and say every fortnight, I want to be sent this report at 6:15 in the morning. And then I can set up a scheduler. And I can then say, do I want it as a PDF or a CSV? If it's obviously this kind of report, I probably want it as a CSV. If there was a chart, do I want to embed the chart into the email or not? And I can just press save. That will then email me. I don't even have to access Sugar at this point. It'll email me a copy of that report every 2 weeks, starting on the Monday, the 16th at 6:15. It'll start emailing me. So report schedules are brilliant. Maybe you've got end of your week, you want to know what issues, complaints are still open. Maybe end of the week, you want to know what opportunities are open. You can also do that. It's very easy to do that. Okay, so we cancel that. So we've just gone from reports to report schedules. We looked at runtimes and we looked at the rows and columns. The rows and columns can also be exported out to Excel. And you can see that we have these functions up here. So if we have the right privileges, we can export it out. If we click on this button down the bottom, report details, it kind of gives us a kind of summarize of what we've asked the system to do. So we're going to make sure we've got it all correct. Okay, so we're going to go to our next report. Okay, so we're just on a rows and columns report, nice and easy. And now we're going to go on to more of a summation report. Okay, you can see that two of our questions are the same questions as the rows and columns reports. However, we have these three new ones: define group by, choose your summaries, and which chart would you like to use? So define group by is how do I want to group my data? So in this case, we're going to look at close one sales by revenue, by product, by user, etc. Okay, so again, we're going to do it live so you can see kind of how this works, but you'll get it once you create one report, you'll get the idea of how they kind of all string together. So let's tackle this live. Okay, let's go back into Sugar. Again, when I click on Sugar, it's going to open up my Sugar system. Again, I'm going to go to reports. I'm actually going to not click up the top left here. I'm going to actually hold Control, Shift, and Spacebar on my keyboard. And you'll see this little window comes up. So Shift, Control, Spacebar at the same time. Window comes up, and I'm just going to start typing report. And you can see I can say reports or create report. So I'm going to go straight into creating a report. Again, we get the four reports that we're going to look at. In this case, we're looking at a summation report. So summation report is tabular report, provides a chart and grouping the actual totals underneath. Would be the easiest way of explaining this. So again, we're going to do this one based on close one sales or open sales, a pipeline report, let's call it, or a close one pipeline report. And we're going to change it. So we're going to build it to start with based on product, and then we're going to do it on user. So summation report, tick. In our case, I've got revenue line items turned on this demo system. However, if you hadn't, you would be starting on opportunities. So if you've got revenue line items turned on, you want to be looking for revenue line items down here. If you do not have it turned on, and you'll be looking at opportunities. It's the same kind of report, but just different areas because it's just my demo system's using this one. So revenue line items, you can see upon selecting that module, I've now got my group by. Okay, what am I grouping this by? Well, in my case, I'm going to group it by sales stage. Again, available fields for revenue items, sales stage. What is my sales stage? Well, I'm actually going to say where I want to create an opportunity sales stage. I don't want to care about the closed lost or the closed ones. So I'm going to is not one of, close won, close lost. If I tick the runtime button again, I could then just quickly, from being an opportunity pipeline, I may want to then say is close won, and suddenly it goes with a close won pipeline instead of what we've won in the past. However, in this case, we're just going to say is not one of close won, close lost. To go next, this is our grouping. So my grouping, for instance, is my month expected close. So I want to go revenue line items, again, fields. I want to go expected close date. And you can see if I put expected close date, it's going the same day, week. How do you want to break this? How do you want to group this? Do you want to do it by quarter, by year, by month, by week, by the actual day? Well, see if I do day, I'm going to have January 1st, 2nd, 3rd, April, May. And it's just going to look 365 columns across. It's going to be too big. So we're going to go month. So we've got revenue line items, expected close date, grouping by expected close date by month, January, February, April, May, etc. across the bottom. Okay. And I've missed March out there, sorry. And we can also go by product. So we can go revenue line items, and we're going to do it by product. So we're going to go, we want to look at the products related to the revenue items. So we're scrolling down on our relationships, and we're going to product categories. And in this case, we're going to go product category. So we're going to say any revenue items with a product category, and we want to group it by the product category name. Go next. How do we want to display this? Do we want to take an average? Do we want to take the maximum, the minimum, the sum, or maybe it's a weighted amount that we want to do? You can choose what is your display summaries. How are you actually going to display these values in your charts? In my case, I'm just going to do the likely sum. So I'm going to type likely, and you can see it says likely, and it's giving me the options for likely. And if I click likely sum, yeah, it adds it up to the top. I could sort by if I wanted to, etc. It's completely up to you and how you want to do it. In this case, I'm not though. And we're going to go next. What chart do we want? We've got all the charts here. So we've got difference between horizontal, stacked, and grouped is one's next to each other, and I'll show that in a minute, and one's stacked on top of each other. And then we have pie, funnel, line, donut, and tree map reports that I'll show again. So we're going to go vertical bar grouped in our case here, stacked even, sorry, and go next. And we're going to give it a name. So we're going to go sales pipeline by category. Press save. So we'll just create our report. We should see, like I said, sales across the bottom with what we're actually selling across the top. Because it's sugar and we're in a chart, it also means we can click into any of these and actually understand what they mean. So if I click on one of these, it's going to say what I'm looking at. Really interactive and actually think, if I don't want stillages, I can just remove it at the top. So we can really work with this report. This is an open sales pipeline by category. If I wanted to spin it on its head and say is not one of, or is one, close one, and apply it on my filters, my runtime filters. Now, from being a sales pipeline, this is my close one business. Again, I've got my details. If I want to reset back, I can reset the default filters. It'll take it back to my pipeline. Very easy. Underneath, these are our kind of our grouping, our total. So we can see we've got a total 750,000, and we can see what those totals are and how they're split by month and by date, etc. If we want to spin this on its head and say, actually, this is not a category, but we want to duplicate this report. So we're going to duplicate as the original summation report. And we're going to group it. We're going to use the same filters. But instead of being by product category, we're actually going to go, it's going to be a pipeline report by person. So again, revenue line items, you can see I've clicked on the signed user. So it's changed this, side fields. I'm going to go user. Okay, go next. We still want the same criteria, but we actually want to We got summoned likely, and we've got it's by the actual months. Go next. Choose how we want to display it. Maybe we want in this case, instead of being stacked, we want it grouped. And next, and now this is a pipeline by user. Oh, and save and run. So hopefully, if this works well, we're going to see the months across the bottom again. And then we're going to see the users in between unstacked. So you can now see we've got Chris, Jim, Max, Sally, Sarah, and Will, and we can see what they're actually generating in terms of pipeline business. Again, underneath, you can see all of our, still got our 781,000 or 750,000. And we can, again, if we wanted to know what this April amount was for Chris, 45 grand, click into it, and we can understand it. If we want to know what this April amount was for Sarah, click into it, it's going to change it. We can then go and view the records using the focus draws or go into the records themselves in the normal way of using Sugar or the previews. Very easy to manipulate. So we've just done a summation report, done two types, and we can see the two now are here. So if we go back into our reports, we got our pipeline by user, and we got our sales pipeline by category. And there's our target list. So every time we save a report, it appears in our lists of our reports. We don't lose it. We can come back to it over and over again. Okay. So our next report is a matrix report. A matrix report is a traditional pivot table if you're an Excel user and are kind of use Excel in the past, like I have. You'll see that the actual records themselves, the filters, are exactly the same. We haven't added any new ones. Which chart would you like to see? There's one slight thing on the end, what I'll go through, but the same questions. What module do you want to start with? What are your filters and conditions? How do you want to group this data? How do you want to display this data? You want to have it as a values, the likelies, the averages, the sums, the max. What do you want it to be? Do you want to count how many records? Maybe it's a calls report and you want to count how many calls someone's done or how many meetings someone's done. So that we count in our display summaries rather than the value itself. And then how do we want to display it? Which one of the charts do we want to display as? Okay. So again, let's jump right into this and show it live. So in this case, we're going to base it on cases, issues, SugarCRM users or Sugar Enterprise users with the cases module. So again, we're going to go top left in our case, go down to reports, and we're going to go and create our summary. So create, we're going to choose our matrix report. We're going to choose where we're going to start with, cases in my case, so cases. And then we're going to say, okay, how are we going to define this? In this case, we're going to say where date created is this year. And you can see there's loads of different options here. But in this case, we're just going to say this year. Again, I could put runtime, or I may not want to put runtime, depending on what it is. We can go define what do we want to define it by, how do we want to group it by. In this case, I'm going to group it by the cases assigned user. So cases assigned user, click on it and go user. Go clear it and go back to cases and I go cases status. So available fields for cases status. And maybe at the same time, maybe this assigned user and status cases on this matrix to start with. We're going to say, how do we want to display the summaries? In this case, like I said, we're just going to count. We want to count how many cases there are, how many issues there have been. So we've got username, we've got relationship there. We're looking at the cases status, and we're just counting how many cases. How do we want to view this data? Do we want to view it on a horizontal? We'll do a horizontal stacked in this case. If there was multiple data set on our display summaries, if we'd chosen multiple data series, we could choose them here. In this case, I only chose one, so it's count. And we're going to call it a name. So we're going to go maybe summary of cases by status. and save and run. So we're going to have a chart at the top, horizontal chart at the top, stacked. And then we're going to have the matrix report underneath. And you can see this is a matrix. So we've got the username on the left-hand side. We have all the statuses across, new, assigned, closed, pending. We have our grand totals for, in this case, Adam, 31, Andy, 26, and we can see them all down here. Right at the bottom here, we have our grand totals across the bottom as well. So it's a matrix report. Just like all the other reports, we still can send this report as an email, PDF to me, or CSV, or an embedded chart. We can still drill into these and understand what they mean. Beauty about Sugar. We can even change it from a horizontal view split, maybe to a vertical split. You can also change the way that, obviously, if you don't want a chart showing at all, you can change it. So there's lots of different options across here, what are really quite good. So chart view, table view, filters. In this case, I didn't click on runtime, so filters is not an option. You can see I don't have any filters, so I didn't tick runtime. And then how I want to see it. Again, I can duplicate if I wanted to, or edit or share it with another user. In this case, I'm going to edit this one. And you can see that on my matrix, I only had a 1-by-1 kind of matrix report. However, I'm going to add another group to make it a 2-by-1. So in this case, we've also done by user by status. We're also going to go by cases by priority. So status by priority. If we go next, get to the bottom, you'll now see that we have this 1-by-2 and 2-by-1 here. So it gives the ability to have changed our matrix report, our pivot table underneath, to be a 2-by-1 or a 1-by-2. And if I go 1-by-2, what we're going to see is again, usernames on the left-hand side, but across the top, we're going to see our status, and each under status, we're going to see our priorities. So status, assigned, priority, high, low, medium. So we can see how our cases are coming in this case. This is a matrix report. Matrix reports, activities, things like this are really good for activity management, understanding maybe what users are doing what. We have enabled KPIs. I'll get to that at the end, but enabled KPIs allows us to actually push the data as well. Okay. So really good in that aspect, matrix report. Last report is summation with details report. You can see, again, same questions. The only difference is we have a new question. It's kind of the question that we asked right at the beginning on the pros and cons report. Which fields do you want to display? Everything else is the same as summation and same as the matrix report. Okay. So our 6 questions, which module? Where do you want to start? Write it down on a piece of paper. Make sure you've got data in there before you actually start building a report. How do you want to, what conditions? How do you want to display it? What do you want to display? What fields do you want to display? And what type of chart? So in this case, always good. Marketing, sales, always use these. Maybe it's tree map. Well, great. So let's do this live and in practice. Let's open up Sugar again. Again, let's go Control Shift and Spacebar on our keypads to bring up the reports. Control Shift Spacebar, report, type report. Comes up reports. You can put a shortcut if you wanted to. In my case, I haven't. So we're just going to create a report. And create a report with summation report with details. Nice pretty chart at the top, information underneath. So again, how are we going to start this? Well, in this case, we're going to do a tree map report based on industry. So we're going to start on the accounts, the customers, the clients. So click on accounts. This is our filters. Well, in my case, I'm going to say we're industry because I'm caring about the industries. And industry is not empty or is empty, or I want to see where people haven't been filling in data. So maybe I don't actually want anything at all. Okay. So we're going to say, in this case, what do we want to say? So we're going to say industry is not empty. However, we'll put a runtime just so we can change this on the fly. Next, how do we want to define it? Well, we want to define it by the industry because we're going to make a tree map report. So industry. So it's going to group it by industry. We have a nice tree map visual of the bigger the tree map, and I'll show you what tree map means in a minute. The bigger the area, the more customers you have in that industry, or more accounts or clients you have in this industry. Go next. How do we want to display it? In our case, we're going to count it. Count how many records there are. Go next. Choose display columns. What do we want to see? This is company details. So name, maybe company name, maybe, don't know, city, maybe phone. We're doing kind of a target list, maybe marketing, and maybe the user, the person who looks after this account. So again, accounts, we're going relationships. So signed user, click on the signed user, available fields for user, and press user. And go next. How do we want to see this? We're going to see this in tree map. And we're going to go next and give it a name. So accounts by industry. And you can see here, what we're going to see here is obviously our report, a nice tree map report at the top. So we've got 7 customers on chemicals, technology, banking, etc., with the group data underneath, with our totals. Total 93. If we click on one of these at the top, you can see the 7 customers, 6 customers, etc. You get the idea. Very easy to create reports and create summation report with details. Very visual reports as well. The tree map report is. Again, we have our industries over here. So we want to say the ones that are empty. We can bring up the report and this is to say there's actually 2,243 were empty. My data is terrible in this demo system, but you can get the idea. I could then go and clean this up with reports. Okay, so what we've just been looking at is 4 different types of report. That's the rows and columns, summation with details, summation report, and the matrix report pivot table. 4 different types. Best practices. Okay, so if you're using a filter condition where you're looking at particular users, rather than having to create separate reports for separate users, use a current user. So you'll see an option for current user when you say a user type user is X. Duplicate a report where you can. Reports are really easy to be duplicated. Like I said, they're all quite similar and you can duplicate and change it to a different report type. Use the fly on the run conditions. They will help out all your users to use one report, but maybe get different criteria. The schedule reports are brilliant, especially with managers. You're trying to increase awareness, increase adoption, that you just want to tell someone of something that's happening. Or maybe for yourselves, you finish at 5, but you want the report and you're late starter until 6:30. You want to see what happened at 6:30, if there was anything left over. Or maybe first in the morning, before even logging into Sugar, I'm looking at my mobile and I get my email with my Sugar report for that day, what meetings I got that week. 9 different types of reports, charts even, available, stacked and grouped, are very popular, but also pie, funnel, line, donut, and tree map. Okay, very good reports, all of them. So let's create a quick dashboard. I'm just where we're on time here. So let's create a quick dashboard. So let's go into Sugar again. This is a dashboard. We can see we've been coming into dashboards every time. Now, how do we create one of these? We just create those reports. Let's create them in. So up the top on our home page, our little home icon, 3 dots, create dashboard. Give it a name, example dashboard. Oh, if you can spell, it always helps. First place you'll come is the add dashlets. If you click on add dashlets, it brings up a list of our dashboards. If we're doing reports, we're going to report dashlets down here. And if we click on report dashlet, first place we come to is what is a report we want to do? But in our case, these are reports that we just created. And you can see we've got our rows and columns report. We can have a rows and columns report. And we can say it's auto refreshing. If this is on the TV, we may want to auto refresh at a particular time. In our case, we've got a data table. So you see charts not even displayed. And we can put some runtime fields if we wanted to and press save. There's our rows and columns report that we had originally taken. How about if we wanted to create that, add that tree map report? Report dashlets again. Choose our tree map. Auto refresh if you want to again. Do we want it as a chart, data table, or filter? Because it's a chart, we're getting the option now. At this stage, you can see it's a tree map. However, I could, even though I'm not actually in the report itself, I could change it if I wanted to on my dashboard. So I could have the same report showing different views. How do I want to see the data? Have I got any run times? I have. Do I want to see the total? Yes. And we can now see we have a nice tree map report. We can make these side by side and move them around in normal Sugar. And then again, same kind of situation. If we had one of our vertical reports, again, report and dashlets, choose our reports. Maybe we've got our cases coming through. Choose, do we want the chart? In this case, we just want to look at the data table. And we want to show total, show the legend, our X and Y, if it comes through, and press save. And you can see that we've got our pivot table down here now. And our pivot table information will be coming down in about 2 seconds. There it goes. And we can stretch it out and move it where it needs to be and make it the right size. And last but not least is our vertical or horizontal reports, where we can just go select. Again, same situation. You see, they're repetitive. Once you get it once, you'll get it for all of them. We're going to go our pipeline report by user. We're going to refresh every 30 minutes. We're going to have a chart. We want to put the values in the middle. We want title, legend. We want the X and Y showing. We may not want to choose that. It's up to you. And again, we could change the actual report type, chart type, and press save. It's right at the bottom here. And we can pull that into display, pull it down, and we can see the data. If we wanted, this is also grouped. However, on the same report, what I could do, although I'm not changing the report, I can take it to stacked and actually understand what the data is. Again, because they're charts, I can drill into them, understand what they are directly from a dashboard, and then be able to view what the data is using Focus Draw. Really is powerful to get around Sugar and build dashboards. Okay, our next part is the Focus Draw intelligence pane. This is quite a new feature for Sugar 13. I'm just aware of time, like I said, so I'm going to quickly speed up here. So dashboards, Focus Draw and intelligence pane. If we're in a record view, that could be opportunities, that could be leads, that could be contacts or companies' accounts. And we go into a company record. When I'm talking about intelligence pane, I'm talking about this pane over here. It's kind of a mini dashboard. You can also do it in the Focus Draw. So Focus Draw, when I'm talking about Focus Draw, I'm talking about this part here. And you can see Focus Draw. So Focus Draw, you can see that on Focus Draw and intelligence pane, you can have reports showing against the companies you're looking at. So if I go into the intelligence pane, you can see there's nothing here at all. Start from scratch. Click on the free, the kind of burger down on the bottom right. Click Add Dashlet. Go down to Reports. Choose your report that you're looking at. And in this case, I'm going to go the revenue line items by category. You can see this little tick box here, related to current record. So if I relate it to the current record, I'm only going to see the sales, in this case, what I've sold to Barrett. And if I save, right at the bottom here, so we're just going to drag it all the way up. There we go. And we're going to drag it all the way up to the top. Move it into the right area and keep on dragging it and moving it over to the right area. So really quite powerful in what we can do. And we can obviously have then exactly understand what Barrett have been buying from us by month. If we went into the next customer, what we'll be able to see is the report changes. because we're looking at the related records. So these are really powerful. You can really create some really cool reports and show them all the things. They are relative. So I click onto the bar. It's only going to say what I purchased for that customer. So a really powerful focus draw and record card view on the intelligence pane are a must if you're using adoption, if you're trying to increase adoption, because it could be values, it could be last activity, it could be target lists, it could be anything. Okay. So sorry about that. I don't know what quite went on there, but I'm just going to show where we were. So we're going. So we've just done the intelligence mode. I kept on saying about KPIs. We have a product called Enable KPIs. It is available to our Sugar customers, as in enabled Sugar customers. If you are not an enabled customer, you can purchase it through Sugar Outfitters. But what it enables you to do is put real actuals and forecasts. So if I wanted to say, define a goal of how many calls a person had to make or a group had to make per day or per month or per quarter, or maybe revenue generation of how many sales pipeline we had to do per month or per quarter, we can set them kind of KPIs up, those targets up, and it looks at the Sugar data and automatically then displays either on the cumulative or a per like a grouped report of what the actuals are and what you are asking them to actually close. So you can kind of set up proper KPIs inside Sugar by doing this, and be able to give users clear performance tracking, what has not been achievable in the past. Okay, so I believe we have some questions. So we're going to questions and answers. Nord, Emily, have we had anyone ask any questions in the background?
Yeah, we have. We've had Sarah. There's currently one open question from Sarah regarding one of the dashlets you had.
Yeah, go for it.
The question was, what was that dashlet on your dashboard that was showing one key piece of information?
Okay, very good question. It's actually an Enable add-on. We as Enable, we've been using Sugar and been developing in Sugar since, like I said, 19 years. So we have a number of add-ons what will be available on the Sugar Outfitters, kind of the Sugar App Exchange, what's called Sugar Outfitters. However, that's, I believe it's called Focus Values, is it, Nord? But what Sarah is asking is if we just click down here, we'll just show you what Sarah's asking is this, but this report here. And what it allows us to do is use a summation report and then simply say what summation report we're using, and then be able to then display it as a big number. We can also at the same time use it as a kind of a targets. So you'll see it'll go green because we just exceeded our 100 grand in that case. But this is what Sarah's talking about. So Sarah, if you're an enabled customer, you can ask for this and we can install it in your system. If you're, unfortunately, for those who are not enabled customers, if you go to the Sugar Outfitters or contact Nord or Emily, we'll be able to provide more details on that. Okay. Any other questions, Nord?
There was some that have been answered by myself. I don't know if you want to have a look at them and if you want to speak to them live.
We can. Let's have a look if we've got some here. So with report scheduling, I have daily set up, but it sends over the weekend when we're closed. Is there a way of doing weeks? Unfortunately, there isn't a current option to only send it only on particular days. I believe it is something that Sugar are looking to in the future, is to be able to say it on frequency and between certain times. But if you set it up right at the beginning on the right day of the week or the right time, it would send it. But if you're doing it on daily, then you are going to get it on Saturdays and Sundays as well. Okay, on the scheduled reports, that is. Okay. Why do you not check the optional related fields? Very good question. Optional related fields, it was a field right at the end of our of when we were creating reports. Let me just show you quickly for those who don't know what I'm talking about. So we go into reports, we click on a report, and we click edit, and we go to the last part here. What's optional related? This part here. So what I am asking the system to do is show me all accounts where they do have an assigned user. If for some reason this report, there was clients who did not have an assigned user, and I wanted it to be displayed on my report, I would tick it, because then it would display my data, what I'm actually showing. Okay, so if I had, for instance, I had that target list with email addresses. So I said, email address is not empty. Email address is not empty. If I was to tick the optional reports on that one, I would get all of the leads that do not have an email address, because I'm saying it's optional. So it's kind of you're kind of given the option to show or not show a related module and a related record. The problem I have relating with optional is that sometimes you bring some duplicates in or duplications on relationships. So that's why I don't choose them. And that's why, if I can, I will use the defined filters instead. Okay. Again, if anyone has any questions about this and wants to go further, Nord, myself, or Emily can jump on a separate session to go through anything. Okay. So I'm just going through some of the questions, and yeah, if anyone has any questions or needs anything, please get in touch. Our website is www.enable.services. The name, the clues in the name. Type enable.services in Google, will come up. We help customers across SugarCRM, and Sugar is the only CRM that we promote and provide. So we have completely focused on it, I think, every single person in the office. If you have any questions, we'll be providing the recording to people so they can run through, because I know in some parts I was quite quick, so I apologize. I'm just trying to keep to our timing. We have 2 minutes left. Like I said, any questions at all, please come back to us and we'll be happy to help. We are going to be setting these up, these kind of sessions up on every month, fortnightly to month. Our next session will be around business process managers. So please keep an eye out for Emily's posts, because no doubt she'll be marketing about them. But any questions, please let me know, and I'll be happy to help. My name is Joe Bushnell. Thank you so much for your time today.